However, things changed. I think it was in the 80s. Someone, like a group of illegal aliens, they had mothers, undocumented mothers, whatever. They gave birth to their children, and this was all orchestrated, just like when they crossed the border and came back to create a workaround in our laws, a loophole. But this, going back to, they had their babies and they walked into Hall of Records. They walked into the offices and had their people positioned, and they got birth certificates. They applied for and got birth certificates for their non-citizen babies. And when that worked for that handful of people, it just blew the hinges off the rails. It blew the door off the ark, put it that way. And everything just flooded in. They came in because they had a reason, that something that could anchor them to the United States. Because before, you're not going to come to a country and, being a human, you be somebody, whatever, you get pregnant, and you're not going to have a baby in a country that's not a citizen, that has no rights, no covering. You're going to go back to the country where that baby has rights and protections and covering, right? But after that was allowed to happen, that scam worked. Everybody was doing it. And at first, of course, it was the proximity. It was, it was Mexico. It was, then it became a little more Central America and started branching out. And then, no, it wasn't just the Mexicans, though. It was also the Chinese. Yeah. The Chinese, they did it a little more quiet. See, Mexicans became the face of illegal immigration. Well, but, just as many Chinese were coming in. Chinese nationals were coming in, having their babies, getting the birth certificates, and then they would go back to China with their U.S. citizen called baby, right? And their hope was for these children to grow up, become 18, then return to the United States. The problem with that is that they grow up without the American experience. They don't have the American experience. They don't have the American love. They may take on a dislike, a hatred even for America itself. But you have that paper that says you can come here. Imagine having a home and someone has a paper saying they could be in your home and they hate you. And they will sabotage you and take whatever they can get from you and send it back to their family that they love. Obviously, this is not to draw up any type of anger or hate, but this is discussing the issue that is at hand. And here we are. We've never been like on the forefront of on the offensive of this whole situation, but we have been the catalyst. We've been used. We've been the plate that's been used for others to eat off of. And now they don't even acknowledge the plate they've dirtied up. Eating all the food off. There's one little cracker left on that plate. One little cracker. And that's birthright citizenship. So it really is time for our people to number one, you'd have to apply to the United States government to request the right to sue them. That's just the way it works. And once that's granted, then you file a lawsuit. Class action lawsuit for all of the freedmen, FBA, descendants of American slaves, American descendants of ADOS. You file that lawsuit because of how America has allowed our 14th Amendment, Birthright Citizenship Clause, and maybe a separate part that's how America has allowed illegal immigration to be a tool that decimated our communities. And the facts and the data are there. It's undeniable. Why haven't we sued by now? Why haven't we sued by now? I understand people want reparations and everything like that. This is it. And with the President Trump sitting in office, with him fighting in court, Supreme Court, for something that should have been done a long time ago. In my opinion, he didn't even go far enough with the executive order. I would prefer it to be scaled all the way back to intent. But he's taken it back to Wong, which says that you have to be a legal immigrant, permanent immigrant, not just here visiting in a transient state, right? You have to have some type of permanency. But with him fighting that, our freedmen collectively standing up saying, no, we are coming against how our amendment, our birthright citizenship clause has been abused. That's a win for him. That strengthens his case. and weakens their case and shuts down those trying to grift onto, just with no shame whatsoever, shuts down those trying to grift onto our 14th Amendment birthright citizenship clause. Shame on America. I think it's time we sue. So there are some attorneys that are listening. Whether they take our case or not, we'll do what we always do. We make a way. That's what our people do. But I think we need to get together and get this whole thing filed, get this whole thing going, and soon. And the first thing we need to do is get our list of how you've been damaged, specifically your family. Think about what is taking place in your family specifically due to illegal immigration flooding into your neighborhoods or communities. And think about how it has disadvantaged you with these same people having the protections of two countries, utilizing your birthright, even though their country, their home country, their parents' home country, gives them automatic citizenship. It's either they have it or it's accessible to them. They have to file a certain paperwork, but it's there for them. So it's the same as having it, because they can go and get it at any time as well. So they have protection from one home country, and then they have your birthright, which gives them the ability to stay here in America and partake in everything that's supposed to be for you. And once illegal immigrants flooded into our country and they were allowed to stay because they had the babies, right? The babies they were allowed, they gave them the birthrights. They gave their children, okay, you can't kick out American babies, right? But like in California and other places in particular, they were granted, against how the people voted, the courts overruled the people and started giving welfare benefits to illegal aliens. So it was a win for them to stay. And so that acted as a suction, just like a black hole sucking in from all over. Whole towns at one point, like decades ago, I remember a documentary, whole towns were completely empty because all the people were over here. It was a better deal that America was offering. All the people were over here, and they didn't flood into the white neighborhoods, they flooded directly into the black neighborhoods. And because due to, scarcity in any situation, every area only has room for a certain number of people. Our people were pushed out, and they were done so. The local governments assisted them by oppressing the black people, the freedmen people. Say laws on the books, they seem to only apply to freedmen. As an example, say a freedman has some type of food item they're selling on the street. Even if they didn't go through registration, they just popped up and started selling. And then you'll have in this case, this is back in my day when I was younger, you have a Mexican that was there popping up selling food out of a basket or whatever. The police would literally roll up in California on the black person selling shoes or purses or whatever they're selling, and act like they don't even see the Mexicans out there selling. Now there'd be like one black person and 15, 20, 30, 300 Mexicans doing the same thing, and they zone in on the black person, take their goods and shut them down. Now the laws on the books, everybody there, including the black person, was in violation of some type of codes, for, selling and stuff like that. But only the black person, only the freedmen had their goods confiscated. It's the same thing that was done at Black Wall Street. They just implemented a different way. However, it was all for a purpose, so that our communities could be taken over and our people pushed out once again, walked the Indian Trail of Tears to wherever we could go next. And then here they come again. They flooded people purposefully, most likely, into our communities and undergirded them, as Martin Luther King said, undergirded them staying there and thriving to a certain degree. They didn't want to get too high, so that they could push us out. Trail of Tears, the next place we could go to. Our people are backed up into the South right now. We thought, okay, surely the South is going to be a stronghold for our people. Same thing's happening there. If we don't do this, get this thing under control sooner than later, freedmen will have nowhere to go. And if we don't help fight in this fight, illegal aliens will have solidified themselves through the strongest industrial guerrilla glue you can find onto our 14th Amendment birthright citizenship clause, which has nothing to do with anyone but freedmen, if we're to be honest and go back to intent. I think it's time to fight lawfully in the courts. Let's talk about it. Go to Fixing Black Culture. Fixing Black Culture. It's a new channel I started. And the whole purpose is to fight for my people, to fight for us. Okay, if you're ready to do this or want to find out more information and we discuss it more, type ready in the comment. We don't want it all, but we darn sure want our slice. All right, straight up and down. Thank you for coming. Let's talk about it.